A single culture discovered a phenomenon that would have a lasting impact on power for centuries prior to the establishment of central banks, stock markets, or banking. Control the gold, and you will control the universe. Gold was more than just adornment or ornamentation in the ancient Near East. It was the optimal repository of value, durable, uncommon, and highly sought after. Kingdoms engaged in wars over it. Monarchs placed a high value on its status, and diplomacy frequently revolved around it. For nearly a millennium, one kingdom maintained an advantage that few others could match. Gold was not merely a commodity that was traded in ancient Egypt. It was also mined there. Egypt's monarchs established an extraordinary framework for the mining, management, and distribution of its gold reserves, which were among the most exceptional in the ancient world. Egyptian pharaohs were able to rely on a consistent supply of precious metal from quarries that were concealed in the deserts to the south and east of the Nile, in contrast to other civilizations that were forced to endure scarce sources. In silence, that stream of wealth became one of the foundations of Egyptian authority. In the ancient world, the control of the supply of gold was akin to the control of the ultimate financial asset. Welcome to the Financial Historian, a place where history, power, and money intersect, and nothing is quite as it seems. Geography is the starting point for understanding the formation of one of the oldest resource-driven financial systems in history, Egypt. Precious metals were scarce in the Nile Valley. There were plenty of good lands in Egypt to grow cereals, but the most valuable were the lands rich in gold, beyond the narrow strip of agricultural land along the river. South was Nubia, what is now the south of Egypt, and the north of Sudan. To the east, the mountains rose steeply, giving way to the eastern desert, a wasteland of stony valleys and sweltering heat between the Nile and the Red Sea. Deep in the barren rock of these lands were quartz veins, and within these veins was gold of breathtaking value. These deposits were recognized by the ancient Egyptians at an early stage in their history. The name Nubia is likely derived from the Egyptian word for gold, nub. Nubia was synonymous with prosperity to the pharaohs who ruled the Nile Valley. However, the discovery of gold was only the beginning. It is a significant logistical challenge to extract it from the arid. The gold discoveries were located in a remote area, with limited access to water and fertile soil. The journey was difficult. The temperatures in the desert could reach such high levels that it would be nearly impossible to work for extended periods. However, Egyptian monarchs had established extensive mining operations in these remote locations for centuries. This was not the small-scale prospecting of individual miners in search of nuggets. It was a state-funded initiative. Mining expeditions were coordinated by the imperial administration. Workers were collected from various regions of the monarchy and marched into the desert, where they were monitored by authorities and soldiers. Supplies must be transported through hazardous terrain. Water had to be either preserved or sourced from uncommon arid wells. Occasionally, entire villages would emerge in the vicinity of the mines, which were transient settlements that were established solely for the purpose of extracting valuable metal from the soil. How extensive these enterprises may become is demonstrated by the archaeological remnants of the eastern desert. Excavations at ancient mining sites have uncovered the remains of laborer settlements that housed hundreds or potentially thousands of individuals, as well as stone-crushing equipment and grinding areas. These were not undertaken independently. The Egyptian state administered these structured economic activities. Numerous sources were utilized to recruit labor for these facilities. Some of the laborers were qualified professionals who comprehended the processes required to extract gold from quartz rock. Other individuals were compelled to work as conscripted laborers from the Egyptian populace. Numerous prisoners of war were captured during military operations. The gold mines did not present any opportunities for them. They were institutions of correction. The circumstances in these mines were described in detail by ancient historians and later classical writers in distressing detail. Laboring in close confines, the laborers crushed stone for extended periods of time under strict supervision. It was a continuous physical endeavor to pulverize rock with hammerstones, reduce it to powder, and then wash the fractured material to separate the microscopic gold particles. Diodorus Siculus, the Greek historian, would continue to write about the Egyptian gold mines with a combination of intrigue and terror centuries later. It was described by him as an interminable